Hello, everyone. Do we have any assistive technologies enthusiasts in this room? Make some noise, wave at me. Okay, so I'm not alone. That makes a little bit more of us, maybe 5 or 6 people, including those wonderful panelists that I have with me here. Let's start with a question. Do you know the global report on assistive technologies? I'm sure you do because you're the enthusiast. You do? Perfect. Then you know that right now we are getting into the point that we will soon have 3.5 billion people who require assistive technologies, and they just don't have them. The report says that from 10 people, only 1 really gets the assistive technology. And I have a theory about it. Because if you look at ZeroCon, if you look at those great innovators that are coming to the technology forum, those people that are part of our call of nomination, the peer reviewers, they know their tech. They are coming with the inventions. So we don't have a gap when it comes to assistive technologies. I think that we have a gap when it comes to scaling. I think that there is an issue where we just don't have the assistive technologies in some regions, not because they don't exist, but because they haven't reached that region yet. But this is ZeroCon. We do not talk about problems, we talk about solutions. And right here beside me are those people who are making that possible, that the assistive technologies, that those products will be available all around the globe. And if I'm sounding out of breath, it's because I was running around. So I will now take a little break, and I will give the voice to my very dear colleague and friend, Varun Chandak from Access to Success, to take over and talk about his own solutions and how he's making the change when it comes to scaling assistive tech.
Thank you, Margaret. Deep breaths. All right, so let me get a sense for who's in the room. Who are my innovators here? Give me a shout. Who are the innovators in the room? Just give me a shout. Yeah, okay. Hearing a bunch of claps, a bunch of hands. And how many of you have been told that your innovations are never gonna scale? That your innovations are, if you're building a startup, you've been told that it's a charity, and if it's a charity, you've been told, why are you doing this? Yeah, I already see a bunch of hands already. It's for you people that we do what we do. My name is Varun Chandak, and I'm the founder and executive director of Access to Success. We are a Toronto-based global innovation hub for accessibility startups. That's what we do, and that's what we focus on. We focus on helping scale the innovators, building life-changing innovations for people with disabilities. I'm going to talk about what that means, and the main thing that I want to get across is we don't do general. We don't do generic. We know accessibility innovation is hard, and we exist to make it easier. We exist to make it easier to scale those accessibility innovations so that you can actually reach the people you're trying to solve for. How we do that is through our virtual accelerator. We run a global free virtual accelerator based out of Toronto, where we provide masterclasses, workshops, programming on topics that relate to the world of accessibility innovation. So you have topics like inclusive design, co-designing with the disability community, fundraising, pilots and partnerships. How do you enter into partnerships with large disability organizations when you're just starting out? Actual problems that real innovators are facing that no other programs in the general tech world really are equipped to answer. In addition to the accelerator, we provide a lot of specialized support. One of the main things that we are able to unlock for the innovators that we work with is the network. We are very lucky to work with an amazing number of organizations all over the world. And so wherever these innovators come to us from, and wherever they are looking to expand into, we try and open doors for them. We try and unlock answers for them. We try and lend the access to success credibility so that when we make an introduction to somebody, no matter where they are, more likely than not, they will at least have a call with you to try and learn more. And finally, I know this is the part that many of you are going to be interested in. Yes, we provide grant funding. In case it wasn't already obvious, all of this is free. We don't charge anything. We don't take any equity in your startups. We do this because we believe in the work you're doing. We do this because I have disabilities myself, and accessibility technology changed my own life. I know the impact that these innovations can have, and we want these innovations to be in the hands of people that you're trying to build for. We don't do this alone. We're very lucky to get to work with a number of global partners like the Toyota Mobility Foundation, HP, eBay, RBC, and so on. And the idea is that in working with them, again, we try and speed up your progress, your scale, your path to commercialization, whatever it is that you really need to actually be able to deliver the impact you're working so hard towards. We're very fortunate to be working directly with the Zero Project as well as a program partner for the Zero Project Scaling Solutions Program. And if you were there in one of the sessions yesterday, you were hearing the amazing scaling fellows. That's the kind of innovators that we are trying to support and help scale their work. Our reach is now in over 40 countries. These 78 startups that we have officially supported through our program and the dozens more that we have supported through our partners have raised over $55 million in funding, generated over $60 million in revenues. But here's the thing, here's the most important number, the one number that really is a North Star. These startups have benefited over 2.5 million people with disabilities to date. Now, how do you get in? Well, here's what you need to know. You must benefit people with disabilities, obviously. You must have a minimum viable product, and you must demonstrate that you're co-designing your innovations meaningfully with the disability community. What really helps stand out is, one, if you can demonstrate that what you're working on is massively scalable. And when I say scalable, it means something very different from when a venture capitalist might have told you what scalable means. Talk to me about what I mean by that. You must, ideally, you will have demonstrated some strong early traction or validation, and you should have a genuinely differentiated innovation. Things that we don't care about, you can be a for-profit or a non-profit. As long as you're building something that you can actually sell, we want to hear from you. We don't care where you're located in the world. Even though we are based out of Canada, we have had companies from Australia, Brazil, Argentina, all over the world really participate in our program, and we don't care if what you're building is B2B or B2C. Applications for our 2026 program are opening this spring. You can scan the QR code on the screen right now, or you can reach out to us at contact@accesstosuccess.ca, or you can express your interest on the form on the homepage of our website, accesstosuccess.ca. Like I said, we don't do this alone. So if you are a large organization, a large nonprofit, a large corporation, and you're looking at the world of life-changing accessibility innovation, we want to hear from you. Because it's not good enough to just do it for a few people. We are in the business of enabling everyone. So let's enable everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Varun. I think that I speak from the heart when I say that I really love your motto of enable everyone, because it includes everyone, persons with disabilities and those who don't have a disability but also want to ally with you and support your cause. And I think that someone else who really wants to help persons with disabilities and be the best ally as possible is Gautam Devlekar from Unexcluded Asia, also a great partner of the Zero Project from Singapore. Gautam, The floor is yours.
Thank you, Margaret. First of all, thank you to the interpreters and all the volunteers that have been helping out with the conference. It's a great experience. Now, so today, I want to talk about the other life that I have. That's around building commercial startups. This is not a motivational speech, but more of a practical approach to life, what we do, right? So in my other life, I mentor and grow early stage startups and growth stage startups. We support fundraising, mentoring, advisory, go-to-market, and partnerships. And we work across Asia and the global markets, right? Where we help is leveraging a large network of entrepreneurs turned investors, private equity funds, and high net worth individuals, right? Because we believe that capital, scale, and execution matters most. Now, how do I do this? I do this through this group called TIE, which is the Indus Entrepreneurs. We are a charter member-based, subscription-based organization. Globally, we are about 6,000 members across 67 chapters. And we have access to some of the largest VCs, family offices, and high net worth individuals. We also have access into the governments in each of these chapters locations that we are in. We have some structured programs such as TIE for Women, TIE for Youth Entrepreneurs, TIE Angels, and TIE Elevate, a lot of these, right? Now, what blends into this is, for me, assistive technology is nothing but a transition into a segment of these startup ecosystem, right? And we also feel in the last couple of years, or specifically after COVID, impact investing has started gaining momentum within the commercial investments, specifically around 22 when there was a funding winter, as we call it, where commercial startups did not really bring the returns that they were looking at. So that, again, COVID, the 2 years of COVID kind of pushed people into looking at other avenues of investment for good. And that's where the impact capital started gaining momentum. And my agenda within TIE is to bring a TIE for Impact program, which will look at other areas of investment. Now, when we talk of impact investment, we tend to look at the two major areas, which is women empowerment and poverty alleviation. With all due respect to them, I think there is enough organizations in this world that are investing in that, in those two sectors. Unfortunately, when it comes to impact investment, disability is invisible. This entire sector just misses the bus, and nobody is aware that this sector needs as much as the other impact sectors. And that's possibly one of my personal agendas, to grow awareness and visibility into this sector. Again, like I said, it's often, disability is often seen as a charity, philanthropic work, rather than as a part of a mainstream conversation. We've rarely seen assistive technology raise capital, equity, private capital. It's always survived on grants, funding by philanthropy foundations, funding by government organizations, but never capital from the private equity, or very little. I won't say never. And the aging population only adds to this sector's burden, right? This is a commercial opportunity I think we shouldn't miss. So how do I bring disability inclusion into my other life? When I speak to startups, when I speak to investors, when I speak to corporate leaders or partners, I try and weave this into their conversations. Startup founders who are designing products, who are designing services, somehow miss the fact that there is a segment of population that might require a slightly different approach to their problem and services. So I try and bring that into their focus. So when they develop a product or a service, it is inclusive and accessible for everyone, not an afterthought like the internet. I mean, it's 2026 and we're still redefining websites to become inclusive. So that's where we look at. Again, investor discussions, we try and see how best we can include capital into the impact sector, bringing in a focus on assistive technology, inclusive services, and scalable business models. Our plan in 2026, we are partners for Zero Project to run the technology forum in Asia. Our plan is to have mini forums within multiple cities, Bangkok, Jakarta, KL, Manila, and then filter out or bring to fore startups from those regions and finally bring them on to Singapore on November 9th, where the Zero Project Technology Forum Asia will happen. And thus, from there, we hopefully try and bring about 3 or 4 of them to Vienna in 27. This year, we have 3 of our startups here. Please do reach out to them if you want to speak to them. Tiki Kids, Take Tag, and Finger Dance. All 3 of these startups are here, and you can speak to them as you want. We also have a plan to build a corpus. We start with a conservative $1 million in the next 18 months, and then hopefully we will use that effectively into early stage investments, pilots, and market entries. We also work with Microsoft, Google, and AWS to create an accelerator and incubator program for assistive startups, founders. We have, like I said, the charter member community in Thai network have access to a lot of experience and knowledge. We will have masterclasses and workshops from them as well. Equitable AI Alliance, again, a Zero Project initiative. We would love to operationalize this in Asia by working with startups and other technology partners to implement or accelerate the inclusion of inclusive AI and responsible AI. Our call to action, if you're a foundation, we would love to work with you. We would love you to help us build that corpus. If you're a founder or a startup, we would love to help you grow and scale. If you're an investor, let's talk. We have opportunities where we can get some good impact capital invested. And if you're an ecosystem partner, we are happy to, again, look at how best we can work together. So in closing, I just want to say disability has been existing in the past. It will exist in the future. Let's not dignify it. Let's address it and make steps to reduce it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can I have the clicker? I think one thing that you said will stay with me for the longest time is that the Asia market, it's not an afterthought, right? It's the future. And I think that many people here recognize that, and we at Zero Project also recognize that with having our regional partners in India, in Singapore, reaching out also to Japan and other regions of Asia, because we see the potential that is lying here. Not saying that we don't have the potential and future in Africa, for example, but we will get there in a moment. And I would like to go to Europe. Maybe Switzerland, or maybe Italy. Where are you now situated from you? Like, tell us your story.
Thank you, Margaret. And thanks for the invitation. It's really a pleasure to be here today with so many inspiring minds. So I represent SeedStars, which is a Swiss organization that supports entrepreneurship in emerging markets. So we are Geneva-based, but our work is mainly in emerging markets, this being Latin America, Africa, Middle East, and Asia, which I will talk in a bit about. SeedStart has as a mission to support entrepreneurs in emerging markets by giving access to know-how, capital, and community. And I joined SeedStars 10 years ago, looking for the best startups in Latin America. And when I traveled around my own region and being so close to the founders in the region, I realized that talent is really everywhere, but opportunity is not. And with SeedStars, we've been exploring this throughout the years, and recently, we started to look into the Asia-Pacific region and the disability space, and we realized something that it was quite shocking for us, that millions of people are not able to access the same opportunities, not because of lack of ability, but because the systems around them were not designed for them. And imagine if this is the case for people in general, what is the case for emerging market founders, and what is the case for founders in the disability space? So at SeedStars, we start to question ourselves, not so much around why are entrepreneurs not accessing the same opportunities as others, because we saw that this was the case for many of them, and there's a lot of studies and data about it, but more, what can we do to make sure that the entrepreneurial ecosystem makes sure that the opportunities reach to everybody. And this is how the Seed Inclusivity Program came into a reality. The Seed Inclusivity Program, led by my colleague Archie Moverly, who is also here, it's a growth program that supports founders in the growth stage. So what does it mean? These are startups that have already validated their product, they have achieved product market fit, they have traction, they are generating revenue. And we decided to focus in the Asia-Pacific region because of the opportunity that it represents. And the first cohorts, even though we are focused regionally, we decided to do the boot camps in India and Indonesia. Our core foundation was to give the same value as we did for other programs at SeedStars. So this meant, and me as the head of community at SeedStars, to organize events to launch the program. We have seen that the engagement of the founders and the startups in general is higher when they meet together for the very first time. And suddenly we started to ask ourselves, wait a minute, do we have forms that are inclusive? Is our marketing campaign accessible? How are we doing our selection process? How are we going to do our programs delivery? And we hire experts and specialists to coach us on that. And the events part also was pivotal for us. How are we going to make sure that our events are accessible and inclusive? And suddenly we found at SeedStars that we were learning so much, and we had to also engage the coaches and other ESOs in the world and in this mission. But one thing was remain untouched, which was how we coach founders, how we approached startups to make sure that they were taking the right steps to continue their growth. And this is what I wanted to highlight today, that for us, what remained untouched was the methodology and the approach. And this is super interesting because I extrapolated to other organizations around the world, which it's not so much about the content itself, and it's more about how do you deliver it, and to make sure that the design of your programs, it's inclusive by default, like as a foundation, and not like an extra layer to it. And this is where we introduced the SMART methodology. So SMART stands for SeedStars methodology of applied rigorous testing, and the Seed Inclusivity Program was the first program ever at SeedStars to have this officially. And the methodology gives the opportunity for us to get different data points from all these 12 years that we have been investing in startups, but also supporting different entrepreneurs, and industry reports that are publicly available to make sure that we have a scientific approach when coaching the founders. And just to make an example, all the calls that are happening in this program, they are recorded, and we have an agent that evaluates the scientific score of these calls. And we have seen a correlation between the scientific score of those calls being increasing directly proportionate to the revenue that this startup is generating. So we are able to provide actionable insights, and suddenly the coach role is more about guiding and making sure that founders are experimenting, and these experiments become learnings, and ultimately these learnings can unlock growth. So this allowed to the first cohort of City Inclusivity to have wonderful results, from questioning their business model to unlocking new distribution channels, test the waters with new customer segments, and on the screen you can see some of the different achievements that the startups from the first cohort had. And I'm happy to say that this also represented not so much, not only a revenue increase in the startups, but also employment generation, and ultimately us being able to support businesses and models that are supporting people with disabilities and assistive technology. So we're very happy with the results of the first cohort, and we're going to continue doing this program, not just in Asia Pacific. We want to expand it worldwide, because we are committed to this cause. And what we have learned in this process is, again, that it's not so much about the content. Ultimately, founders, we are guiding them with this scientific approach, which has been proven to work, not just in this program, but in other programs that we run at SeedStars from different founders' stages. And we are also now partnering up with other incubators and accelerators worldwide to make sure that if they want to also come with us in this mission of supporting entrepreneurs, they can jump and get certified in the methodology. So this helps us also to amplify the impact that we want to have. And ultimately, we do believe that talent is everywhere, but we want to be part of the work that is making sure that the opportunities are also accessible worldwide. Thank you.
I have to say that each time I see someone wearing that jacket that SeedStars patented, I'm like feeling I want to go to college again. I want to learn. I want to be a person like Romy, like Archie, that are taking young people, young entrepreneurs, and making them even more remarkable people than they already are. But I have to say that this panel is very male-dominated. I'm not intimidated by that. At Zero Project, we have a large representation of women. And I'm also very glad that I'm not the only person sitting here as a woman, but also Fanny Cohen from HandyLab from France is here as well. She has a slightly different accelerator program that she will talk about, but I'm really looking forward to it.
Thank you so much, Margaret. I'm so happy to be here with you, and thank you so much to invited us to take part of this fantastic conference, Zero Project. So we are exactly a hub, a new accelerator. HandyLab is the first innovation hub dedicated to disability and loss of autonomy in France. In fact, and we are located in the Greater Paris on 13,000 square meter dedicated to innovation for disability. And it's so, we are so proud about this project and so proud that we are supported by such a terrific major French company. And I want to say hello to one of our partners, Orange, is here with us, and so fantastic to exchange every day about all this important subject. Our vision, so we are supported by group Fimanco. It's a real estate investment company in France. And our vision is based on the idea, in fact, a very simple idea, but important, to connect business, technology, and disability. Because we start from the observation that disability in France is approached by philanthropic and law. Because the firms are compelled to, with the law, to integrate people with disability. And sometimes I don't know how to manage with that. So the idea, it was to have a very positive approach and to show to people and to companies that, in fact, disability is very innovating sector, very dynamic. And that we can observe, because for 1 year we are open, and our incubator get 70 startups now, French startup working about disability. And for us, it's very important to get this approach, because it changes the mindset, really, and to talk about this important subject. So our ambition, and specific in Nandilab, it's to create and to build like an ecosystem that bring together major companies, startup, but also training center, also researchers, engineers, public and private sector. Public sector is very important in France, because they are supporting with special fundraising and public fund. And the goal is to transform the mindset. And with the project, and to get the opportunity to the startup to meet the partners that they're not used to meet. So, as I said, many partners support us, and not only on to develop their philanthropic commitment, but also they want to develop innovating, and they're innovating with. So we focus on use cases that they can support for their business, and we try to recruit some startup about these use cases. So concretely, Nandilab, it's an ecosystem. As I said, that it's first of all an incubator, and now we have 70 startups. With a unique approach, because for the more important for us, it's to have the person at the heart of the process, and to connect needs of the person and solution. And that's why we create a use lab. It means that we organize some testing session that the startup can and may connect their solution and test their solution. And as I said, the second pillar of the project is to change the mindset. And for changing the mindset, it means like training and training center and learning expeditions that we organize to the people and for our partners. And the third pillar is to create events. Very important to create events and to talk show and conference about disability. So in conclusion, I would say that all the project is concentrated to innovate and to think different and to make society more inclusive. And alors, concretely, what do we offer to the startup? And if you want to join us, and I really would like that international startups and company come to join us. Alors, two ways to join us. First of all, it's for international, through an international approach. We organize a learning expedition to explore the French market and European market to help the startup to understand the specificity of local ecosystem and assess opportunity and modalities for establish operation in France, very specific market. And the second way to join Nandilab, it's for startups and companies already established in France, and we support them in accelerator program, accelerating their growth, strengthening their market presence, and structuring a network of strategic partners. So more classical mission that we can find in other accelerators. But Nandilab, it's a unique ecosystem focus on disability, and this is the point I wanted to say. So it will be great to have new company to join us. So welcome to Andy Lab.
Thank you so much, Fanny. And I have to say that Fanny was a last moment addition to this panel, but I'm really glad to have you here. And I think this is also an important topic because in France, the disability inclusion is being more and more important. And we are very glad to have more and more France representatives at ZeroCon. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much.
And it's always a pleasure to have a panel with Bernard Chira on it because he's not only an excellent speaker, but he's also a great friend of the Zero Project, and he has been with us for many, many years, as well as he was an advisor for Scaling Solutions last year, and he had been a wonderful mentor for one of our fellows in Tanzania, and the girls are still telling me how wonderful he is and how much he helped them. So Bernard, can you share your story as well?
All right, good morning. I hope you can hear me. So I want to start with a small test. And if you've watched the movie Lion King, please raise your hand up. So this room is full of Swahili speakers because you know Hakuna Matata. Well, the movie Lion King is probably more than 35 years old, if I'm not wrong. And that is the image today that most people have of Africa. Again, raise your hand if you've never been to Africa. Wow, I see a lot of safari clients here. Okay. My name is Bernard Shira. I am from Nairobi, Kenya, born and raised. And my life 40 years ago began at the bottom of a mountain. I was born in an area called Nyeri in Kenya. And at the age of 2 weeks, they shipped me back to the hospital because I was the endless crying baby and they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. And they discovered that I had a fracture on my femur, and they thought my mom was the most careless mother in the world, because how could you have a 2-year-old baby with a broken leg? I do have a disability, actually 2 physical disabilities, scoliosis and brittle bone disease. Why do I begin with this story? It's because of lived experience, and at the end you'll see why. So today I am the founder and CEO of Assistive Technologies for Disability Trust. We are, okay, do I know how to use a clicker? Yes, I do. We are based in Nairobi, Kenya, and we see ourselves as Africa's hub for disability innovation and assistive technology. And our mission is actually anchored on 2 important pillars, technology and people. And we believe we exist to build technologies and communities that enable people with disabilities to thrive. We operate from Kenya, but our work extends across the entire continent of Africa. And I will share a little bit with you some of the work that we do. So our journey actually started in 2019. And I don't know how many of my panelists started working in disability before then, but it was pretty early in this space, and especially in Africa. Before 2019, there was nothing like, oh, I'm an assistive tech startup. That was unheard of. I used to work in one of the leading universities in Kenya, and I got a moment in time where there was singularity. For those of you who come from the AI world, singularity is when AI and humans join together. For me, it was my lived experience and my work. So I left and I launched Africa's first assistive technology accelerator, working with amazing partners who I really want to appreciate, GDI Hub. I know some of them are in this room probably. And together we did build Innovate Now that has gone to support more than 75 startups across the entire continent of Africa building early stage assistive tech. We still run Innovate Now to date, and we are currently on our 11th cohort. We are now getting into moving beyond pilots, training, and mentoring. And I am glad to tell you here today that we will be launching Africa's, again, another first, venture fund that will be dedicated to investing in early stage assistive technology companies. And we are about to roll out our pilots so that we can share our methods and our learnings with all of you, and so that you can go and do the same in your markets. So we are calling it Momentous Fund because momentum is building, but we now need to take off. AT4D also works anchored on the idea of community and ecosystem, and I truly do appreciate and can't emphasize enough why in this journey of disability inclusion, you can never walk alone. And it is because of the partnerships and friendships that I have built over the last 7 years that has brought me to the global stage. And I really want to take this opportunity to thank our partners who stretch across Kenya and globally, including FCDO, who laid the foundation of this work in Kenya, the Norwegian Agency for Development, and many more, including IDRC and Judy Nelson Foundation. We also work in research and development because one of the biggest challenges we have in disability is lack of data and actionable insights. So we've been part of every major study over the last 5 years around assistive technology and disability, including the global report on assistive technology. We've also done a report with the Plus N Network and another group of amazing hubs across the world around disability innovation. And we just recently did another report on AI and disability in Africa. And all these resources are not just for us, they are for you, so that we can move from the Lion King Africa we know to the modern Africa that is there today. I'm gonna move on. So who do we support? We support assistive technology startups right from the very early stage. So we admit startups through our accelerator program, and they basically need to be working in assistive technology or accessibility. They need to be past idea stage, so you have tested or built a prototype. And we are increasingly now working with technology companies beyond assistive technology to help them think about accessibility and inclusion. And persons with disabilities, they sit at the center of what we do, including the leadership that I drive, but the amazing community of people with lived experience that are part of every startup's journey of validating and building assistive tech. We work with governments, corporate and academic institutions to give them the insights that they need to actually build better policies and support innovation. And funders and investors. We are increasingly now working with organizations that want to see what capital and investment can do to drive disability inclusion forward. So we offer a host of things, an ecosystem and a community. I mentioned we are moving into seed funding and pre-seed funding. And we are also building a network of AI and disability innovation. It's called HAIDI. And the idea is to connect everyone to communities of persons with disabilities and also build meaningful AI for all persons with disabilities, especially in Africa. And we are always tinkering with technology, R&D, supporting our startups, and also experimenting with new ideas ourselves. So before I talk about some of the success stories that we have, I really want to say that the future is Africa. And while Asia will remain to be the largest continent in the world by 2050, Africa is going to be the youngest continent in the world by 2050. Today, more than 60% of our population is made up of young people below the age of 25. And the population of Africa is going to experience the largest growth by 2050, actually over 25%. And that means something because the future has to give hope to young people, and young people will build the future of the world. Some of the trends we are seeing in the assistive technology space is actually Kenya and Africa being at the center of building the future of assistive technology. I was glad to participate in the technology forum a day before we started the conference. And I can tell you, everywhere in the world, they are thinking about the future of digital sign language. It's happening in Asia, it's happening in Japan, it's happening everywhere. And this is a space to watch, but I am confident that the winner might actually come from Africa. And we do have our very own startup called Signverse that is already taking Africa to the map. They've been part of the google.org accelerator, and they are building for the entire African Sign Language versions, and starting with Kenyan Sign Language. And they're having massive success now. They're now going commercial and selling this technology to companies and making it free for deaf individuals. We've also experienced something incredible that I don't see a lot even in the mainstream startup ecosystem, and that is an African startup building in a different market or for the world. So HopeTech was part of our first cohort at Innovate Now, and their go-to-market strategy required them to launch in Europe, and which they did. And they are building the future of wearable technology for blind people to give them confident, independent navigation using technologies such as computer vision and haptics. So, as I finish, my call to action to all of you is we cannot walk alone in this journey. We need to partner together. So if you're interested in any of the things that I mentioned, please, let's build and enable people together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bernard. And just remind me, if you can, have you already had your fireside chat with Archie about accelerating startups in Africa?
So that's happening today at 5 p.m. It's going to be live streamed on YouTube. So please tune in and you hear more about the work that we are doing. Thank you.
And if you also can check up in the agenda, because there is also one great accelerator that will be joining a fireside chat. It will be Chetan Kapoor from Tech Mahindra Foundation. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here with us at ZeroCon, but he's with us spiritually, let's say. And it's not only him. We in Zero Project are slowly building an accelerator network because we see how important it is to both support the innovators, the entrepreneurs, and also connect them with accelerator programs, with incubators if they have brilliant ideas, and also with investors and other foundations that want to support those kind of entrepreneurs, especially the persons with disabilities who have their own great ideas. And because we have only 5 minutes left, I wanted to ask the audience first if they have any questions to our panelists, because we can use this time for a little Q&A. So is there anyone who wants to ask a question? I would ask you to raise your hand. Archie, come on.
In the context of all of these companies working globally, I'm really curious to see if there's a shared challenge or a pain point that any of these programs that we run or these initiatives that we provide for entrepreneurs with disabilities have. And I think all of you spoke a bit about sort of funding and sort of access to mentors and networks and so on. I'd love to hear maybe just from one or two of you, what has been, from the founders' perspective, one of their biggest challenges when it comes to scaling?
Gotham, go. You're the first taker.
I think a common thread that I have found in most of the startups that come to pitch is they talk of passion, they talk of solving a problem, but they do not have the thought process to think through a commercial business model. Somehow that seems like a dirty road path to go down to: profit, revenue, scaling, becoming a big organization. While we understand that, yes, it is to solve a good problem, there is no harm in monetizing it and leveraging the company to grow. So that's possibly what I've seen.
So for us, there's really a couple of things that we're noticing, which ultimately comes down to distribution. For us, the companies that we work with have typically shown a little bit of traction. To give you a frame of reference, last year in 2025, our global program had 15 spots. We received more than 200 applications for those 15 spots. Among the companies that we selected, the average annual revenue of those companies was $500,000 a year. So these companies know, they understand a little bit of what they're doing, but we are not working with them to help them land their first 5, 10 customers. We are working with them to help them land their next 500, the next 5,000 customers. So that classic startup chasm problem is basically what we are working on, and that we believe can be solved through two things, really. One is encouraging more investors and foundations, philanthropic organizations to fund this sector, because we see the value. We are already seeing financial returns, not just impact-based returns. We are seeing exits happening, acquisitions happening. I'm talking in real general tech venture capital terms, but it's that this business is real. We're seeing that. The second one that we are working on is this understanding this global ecosystem of disability, because the way we see distribution get unlocked is when we know who to send these startups to. If they say that, hey, we want to expand in this specific region, then if we know who the experts in this region are, they understand that the nuances of those regions, because we are obviously not going to have all of the answers. We work with experts for that. So if you can find the right people in the right locations at the right time and connect them with these founders, that we believe is the key to unlocking distribution.
Yeah, go on, Bernard.
Yeah, so very quickly, I really also wanted to highlight that in a lot of emerging markets across Africa and Asia, we also have systemic challenges that make scaling challenging, especially if the ventures are in, say, hardware and digital, hardware and kind of products that need that infrastructure. And I think governments have an opportunity there to support this by looking at how assistive technology can be positioned as, you know, a sector to drive manufacturing, and also to make it easier for startups to operate. So I think that's one of the things that could really accelerate what we are saying today.
Thank you so much. And with 30 seconds to go, just a quick rundown on who you should connect with. Varun Chandak, the founder and executive director of Access to Success from Canada. Next to him, Romy Navarrete, head of community at Sisters, right now based in Switzerland. Fanny Cohen, the director of HandyLab in France. Then here we have Gautam Devekar from Unexcluded Asia, based in Singapore, and Bernard Chira, based in Kenya, with Assistive Technologies for Disability Trust. I always need to read that out. And I was Małgorzata Margaret Grobelna from Zero Project, and this concludes this session. Thank you.